the Facebook pages and sharing, stories and pictures they have up there about their club or teams winning tournaments and doing well. And I'll start putting information on there about more USA League stuff as we start building the seminars. And once we announce the college coaches, I'm hoping also to put together maybe like a monthly email blast newsletter to go with it to keep people and get people more engaged and see what's going on. But the MLS thing just was one of the things I found. Just somebody, I forgot what the site was, just giving their spin on the what do you think their chances are for the 12 markets and rank them 1 through 12.
What is the name of the page in Facebook?
It is at you can find it under @USA League on Facebook.
We should also get that on the website, right? How to direct them to the.
It's not sure if it's already up there, but there is an icon for Facebook and Twitter on our website. So if those links should work.
It does. It does. Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Kai, are you able to send a link to the Facebook page that I could send out to our board of directors and our coaching staff and stuff of that nature so that we can get more people connected to it?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, no.
As they get connected to it, then other people that they know will get connected to it. And if you have a link that I can put in an email, obviously I have distributions for everybody at our club. I can probably boost our like numbers pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'll send you. I sent the link to we sent the link to the database that we had through our God Soccer account. Now, again, I don't know how many of those actually end up in the inbox and not in the spam folder, because I know sometimes the blast emails that we send out goes in the spam. But now I can send you the link.
That would be great. Yeah, I can get that out, and like I say, it'll just multiply on its own as soon as I start putting it out.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, Joe, this is the first week or first couple of weeks that we're doing this. As we get on 3 and 4 years out, that should be built and fairly thick. It's just a matter of starting. We never have done it, and Kai has been the guy that really has made us aware that we really need to get in this modern in this social media. So we got to start just like the showcase, just like the Rene Lopez stuff. You got to start somewhere and then keep moving from there. So it's a start.
Absolutely. I think it's great, and I appreciate what Kai's doing. I just want to see how I can help.
Yeah, that's great. If we can get everybody to do that all of our members doing that, that'll increase things, and it's a fast way for everyone to tune in what's going on without waiting for an email, that they're not going to get, or it's going to be in their trash or whatever. So.
I just, Joe, I just sent you the link. Just email it to you. So you should have it.
Hey, Kevin, which club are you with?
Manatee Magic.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's keep moving. I think that's about it for this session. The executive committee will go into
we got one more thing, Paul.
What's that?
The referee issue about payment and whatnot.
Well, we can do that now or in the executive committee. It doesn't matter. But we did put out for everybody, and Les had the particular question, that with all of these rainouts, we've got refs coming to the fields, not doing a full game because the game gets rained out or lightninged out, whatever the case may be. They've been paid. Okay, so and this is there's always a problem with rainouts is having some established policy as far as that goes. So we've got it. I don't know where can you get that on the website?
We can get it there. I mean, I just hold on.
So make it easier for everybody to understand it. It was sent out too. I think, Sherry, you sent it out to everybody, did you not? We got Sherry there?
We had Sherry.
Okay, well, that's all right. But I mean, this week.
I'm sorry. I think I sent it.
Did we send that, the thing that we kind of developed on the referees? It was a very succinct.
Right. I sent it to the board, and my understanding was you were going to add it to the bylaws, right? So I didn't post it until.
I mean, right now we can. It doesn't even have to be a bylaw. That's just our. That's the. That's the process of managing it. We can vote it in if we want, but that's going to be the rational way to approach this referee thing. And I think, Greg, if you just read that real quickly right now, so everybody.
Right, I just sent it. I just sent it to myself, but I can.
All right.
I can do that. Hold on 1 second.
Or put it up.
Yeah. Hold on. I just lost it. God bless it. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see. Here we go. All right. And I still haven't gotten it on the thing. All right. Here's when and how and where we pay the referees. Number one, if a match is canceled and the referees are notified before they leave for the match from home or another venue, the refs do not get paid for the match, providing we give them a 2-hour notification. If they're notified 2 hours before kickoff, then if they show up, that's on them. They don't get paid if the match has been canceled. If the referees arrive for the match and it is not played for any reason prior to the start of the match, whether it could be weather, unplayable condition, we find out that the county's closed the fields or whatever the case may be, the referees receive 1/2 pay. Okay? The refs and the ARs. If the referee, I'm sorry?
What's the effective date on that? Is that a rule, or is this just something you're considering?
This is a guideline that we've been following for.
Yeah, we've been doing this all along, Les. Now we're just getting it formalized, so everybody.
Yeah, right.
Well, these referee owes me money. Okay.
Well, hang on. We haven't gotten. Hold on. We haven't gotten to your part yet. Hold on. Okay. If the referees arrive for the match and is not played for any reason prior to the start of the match, the referees receive 1/2 pay. If the referees arrive for the match and a team does not show or a team does not have enough players or the passes are not present and the match is not played, the referees are paid in full. Okay? And then we get that submitted. Here's your caveat, Les. If the referees arrive for the match and it starts, but has to be abandoned anytime in the first half before it's concluded, whether it be weather, field condition, participant action, act of God, whatever the case, and the match cannot be finished following a reasonable delay, the referee receives full pay.
If this is an act of God, we should all share the benefit of the cost of it, not one person bearing the cost and the others don't. It's an act of God. We don't control that. So I don't think it should be that way. Because the same act that I'm subject to is the same one the referees are subject to. I don't control the weather. They don't control the weather. So why should I play for 15 minutes and pay them in full? It should be the same. If it doesn't go past halftime, they get half the fee.
If it goes past halftime, they get half the fee?
If it doesn't go to halftime, they should get half the fee.
I see what you're saying.
It's a act of God. I didn't control that.
What happens if there's an issue with participants, spectators, et cetera, and the game gets called within the first 20 minutes of the match? What do you call that?
They should get half the money.
No, definitely not.
No, definitely not. I disagree. I think that
well, let me tell you my situation yesterday.
I understand, but I'm just telling you.
I got to the field, and there was a 4:00 game, and the game was in rain delay.
Right.
Okay. My team and Citra showed up, and we were early, and there was a certified referee at the game that is not running a game, and I suggested to the referee, the weather is going to get bad at some point down the road, so how about we just start the game in another field and let these guys run the game, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to wait because they wanted the money.
Did you have the full complement? Did you have the center and both ARs?
I had center and ARs to use if they would have given me the okay to do it.
Okay.
And the game would have been played concurrently with the other game, but they didn't want to give up the fee, so they said they'll wait. The game started at late at 6:35. By 6:45, 6:50, the game was done because the weather got bad. We could have started the game at 5 o'clock.
The game was scheduled
Both teams were there.
Les, the game was scheduled for 4 o'clock.
It was 6 o'clock.
Okay. So they start on time.
No, they didn't start on time. They started at 6:35.
Okay. Is that because the weather was threatening and they didn't want to?
That's because the game prior to that was delayed and they were doing the same game.
Okay.
They were doing the 4 o'clock game.
Got you. Yeah, I don't
So we could have started the game at 5 o'clock and get the game through before the weather came in if they had given me the okay.
What I would suggest, Les, is that we bring that up in executive session and see if anybody wants to change and use your suggestion instead of what we came up with, because we voted on this. We're all comfortable with the rules we just put down. If we want to change to it, it's got to be a board decision unless it's not up.
I just think if it's an act of God, we should all share the responsibility of act of God, not one person getting the burden placed on that.
Well, the question that is being considered here is the game's in 20 minutes. All of a sudden, here comes a big bash of lightning, and everybody's got to scatter.
Yes.
You've already paid the referee.
Yes.
Full amount.
Yes.
Okay. Good luck trying to get that back.
Well, they should come and do the rescheduled game, and I pay them another half of the fee. I wouldn't mind doing that, but not the full fee.
But you can't give them a half at the start of the game.
Well, I'm talking about they already got the full fee. The same crew should come back for the rescheduled game.
I don't have a problem with that.
Another half of an additional 50%. So they'll get 100. They'll get 50% additional to the full pay.
I got it. What we'll do is instead of being at the deadline, I get exactly what you're saying, Les. So in the executive session tonight, when we go to adopt those set of rules, we'll also introduce a change in those rules that you're suggesting and see what the vote looks like. That's all. That's all we can do. It's not up to us. It's a board thing, and we'll just run it past the board and see how they think. As we did this, I think the concern, but you can argue this to your.
That's fine. I have one other question I'd like to ask.
You're not going to have referees if you do that. You're not going to be able to get it's not likely you're going to be able to get the same ref. You may, but that now has to be that's a possibility. What you're asking for is a certainty that now that referee's got to redo that game, and he may not be available to do that game 2 months later.
I understand. Totally understand.
So that's the first issue that from a scheduling standpoint, that's probably not going to be practical. But the second one is, once you set these up, if a ref starts to realize, if referees, that they're going to come and whatever is going to happen, so the possibility exists that they say, well, it looked like rain, that's why I didn't want to go because I knew I wasn't going to get paid. So we're trying to be sensitive to they're getting in a car. It may not be raining where they are. They're driving to the fields. They're assuming their day they had another chance. They could have had a chance to do a game somewhere else. They chose the USA game. So they're now at that USA game. And now they're in jeopardy of getting paid only half because of a weather glitch and that's the only thing I can see.
And I understand that side of it, but also
I think that's what we went back and forth about when we did this last. We argued back and forth for probably a couple days to do this. I think Merritt came up with it. We tweaked it a little more and then voted on it. So we can revisit it. We'll try and put it into the not the bylaws, just as this is our how things are going to work in USA. It's not a rule yet or anything else because we can stick it in there as that. But this
and here's a real concern, Paul. We have teams that we charge X amount per player, and each team has a certain budget. And you run into four of these, and you could be wiped out of your budget.
No, I get you. You know, the alternative is to probably, you know, not have some refs that'll do games at certain fields because of that. That's what we'd be dealing with. Because
I understand that.
Since we don't pay them, and so we're trying to get. We've got the referees are a problem to start with. So I think that was this thing, and that's how we've always done. In other words, what we just read is really the practical, the way it's always worked for 20 years in USA. What we wanted to do was just put it in some, you know, form that everybody could understand it, so it wasn't like, oh no, that's what we do. So that's why we wrote those rules up.
Okay.
And we'll vote on them at the end of tonight and see what we think, if we're going to adopt them or not.
Okay.
But we have been.
And one other question before we move on.
That's been our MO.
Okay.
Always as to how you pay the refs. They start the match, they get the money.
No problem with that.
If they come to the match and we didn't tell them not to, they get the money.
I mean, I do think we continue to want to build a better relationship between the refereeing and the league, and I think that's going to take both organizations to kind of find a solution that is respectful of the time and the money and everything for everybody.
Yeah, and Mike, you know, the problem with we're organized, we have a board, the referees don't have a similar central bargaining body that we can get a hold of and deal with, so that every referee understands, you know, that they don't seem to have we've got Merritt, who is an FSR in the FSR organization. But as such, FSR doesn't have a general rule. I mean, we asked them for one, they don't have one. And that's where we got to get FSR more involved.
Yeah, I agree.
To say to their refs, here's the set of rules we're gonna agree to.
Yeah, I agree.
And FSR doesn't seem to be very interested in doing it. Not at least now, but you know, and prior to this, I mean, there's an FSR, but they don't seem to act in concert at all as far as being able to deal with a central authority there, so that we can go back and forth and say, how about this, how about that, you know, and get some set of rules that we do. That's really the issue. We're trying to be as fair as we can with basically what we're calling all our referees, which they're not, you know. So,
one other question, Paul.
Yes.
Is there, to my understanding, there's a rule that if you're traveling more than 2 hours to a game, the game should start before a certain time?
10 o'clock.
Because even going to Lee County?
Are you in the first division?
No, this is one of my junior teams who are going to Lee County, and Lee County waited last minute to schedule a game just before the schedule locked, and they scheduled for 10 o'clock. That's a 2.5 hour plus drive.
10 o'clock's is the rule, though, Les. Nothing before 10.
You know, these guys have to leave home from 6 o'clock to get there in time to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about unfortunately two clubs that are at the very ends of the empire, you know.
And I understand that, but when I do Lee County games, I give them consideration travel time. And
and that's what we want, Les.
That's what you would assume or ask for, though, Les.
Yeah.
But they schedule the game on the night the schedule locked, just before it locked. So there was no room for, and the game is the first game next week, so there's no time to request a change.
Well, I'm pretty sure we can allow a time change, right? I mean, we've done that in the past. You're not moving a date.
Yeah, we're asking for some consideration of a neighbor that's involved in the same occupation we are.
When do they come to you?
Totally understand it.
When do they come to you?
They schedule the game the day of the schedule lock.
But when do they come to you, though?
When do they come to us? I'd have to go back and check the schedule.
Well, I mean, you could tell them the same deal. Like, if you know, we are willing to work with you and make it a later time if you are willing to do it. But if you don't, we've got a 9 o'clock. I mean, a 10 o'clock start time.
But it's just within 7 days, so the problem is changing the schedule 7 days out.
Well, I don't think it's a day change. It's just asking them to get some time change, you know.
Yeah, you just getting a time change. We'll allow that. I've seen that in the past.
All right, then I will look into that. I'll follow up with that after the meeting.
Yeah, and you might mention to them, Les, that we had this discussion too. That the board, you know, is realizing, hey, you got to work with people that are hours away. I mean, you guys are really, unfortunately, almost too far flung, both east and south in our playing area.
And I recognize that when I schedule games, and I don't have a problem with that. But I just wish everybody else would consider that when they schedule the game.
Well,
I agree.
You would think they should too, because they're guys that really are traveling. A lot of their teams are traveling, you know, for every game they're away. They got to schlep. And I'm assuming that most people are, you know, nice enough to do that, or polite enough to do that for them. I know
my team go to Lee County in November, and the two coaches got together and agree we'll do the game for 3 o'clock because of travel time. They're coming to me, and they're coming for a 4 o'clock game because of travel time. We agree on that. But
yeah, let's get hold of them and tell them exactly that, though. Tell them exactly what your coach did with their coach.
Yeah.
And that you expect the same thing.
Yeah. All right. I will follow up.
Yeah, I think we need to get the club to kind of remind the coach of the you know, the relationships here, that we're all members of the same thing. We're trying to make everybody's life a little easier. A couple hours doesn't mean anything to them, but to you, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, at least
it's just when you have young kids getting
the sun's up when you get up to go to the game.
Yeah, when you have young kids have to get up at 5 o'clock to travel to a game.
I agree. It's ridiculous.
All right. That's my only issue.
Yeah, but that's not an unreasonable thing to ask for, Les.
Okay.
I don't. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? Can we get to the executive committee?
Yep. We got to take a look at the new business stuff, Paul.
What do you got? All I got on here is the college seminars. We've gone over that. The showcase, we've gone over that. Facebook and Twitter accounts, we've gone over that.
It's on your screen.
That's in the executive committee meeting. We got to adjourn this meeting.
Right. Okay. You got it.
Right, so somebody please make a motion to adjourn this meeting. In a second. Joe, can you, or Mike, who's on? Mike?
Yeah, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mike.
Who
Somebody
seconds?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, boom. We're
Good
done
night.
with the executive committee meeting. Put the minutes up.
There was no executive meeting at the last.
Okay. Protest and appeals, we don't have any. Hearings, we don't have any. Old business, we got the college showcase, which we've gone on about in the seminars. Mike, did you get the email about, you know, we're trying to get, Les is now going to try and get a facility out in Winter Haven, Lakeland area to drop that lecture in out by Lakeland. That was our
I saw that, yeah.
FYSA and Polk County both crapped out on us, both gave us dates. And then because of Irma, they had rescheduling, so they're booked, and they just bumped us out of there. So we lost the dates that we had. And, you know, I've got to keep her on the other end loose that she's, we've got a committed date there. But now we need to find a venue, so we're running out of time. If we can hook something up this week, well, then we'll have that one. But we do have another one hard scheduled for the SLAM, the new charter school over by Citrus Park Mall. So we are set up for that in November. All right. New business, Seminole U15 girls. You guys still on from Seminole?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Greg, would you put that up?
What this is about, and then I'll let Ron explain to you. They played 3 games, and what's happened is the game card, they've got 9 players, I believe, primarily registered to their team, and another 6 or 7 secondarily registered. Okay? And as you know, we don't allow secondary players
Right.
to play. Now,
Right.
first of all, just to get this, I mean, I've already beat up Got Soccer because they were supposed to take care of this in August,
Right.
and they did not. So I've been on the phone with them every day, and I'm still waiting for the change. They're supposed to zip that out so that those do not print out on the game card. Be that as it may, the problem that Ron's going to explain to you is that he's got 6 or 7 girls playing up under 16. There's only one division in the 16U girls, and he's got the proper age, the 2003 girls that are still eligible to play. You know, they're playing up with the 2004s that are there, 2002s that are there. So in essence, those secondary players are actually coming from his club, from his 16-year-old team. Again, but we have to, you have to figure out and discuss whether or not you're going to allow a 16 girl to play in a Division II U15 team.
Well, we that's not up to us, Greg. That's up to FYSA.
Yeah, but they could roster all those girls back to the 15s.
Yeah.
That was one of the suggestions.
Right.
That's what we're going to have to do for FYSA's rule. I mean, they got to be on a roster. They can, Ron, you guys can club pass 3 of them. So you only got to. Are they playing in the same? But they're playing in the same weekends, the same days, are they not? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, what divisions are the 2 teams playing in?
Doesn't matter. It's.
Well, if they're playing D1, they can come back down to D2, right?
Well, if there's a loophole, if you're a U15 player, there is a bit of a loophole about this whole Division 1 thing, because if you're playing up at U16, I just know there's a little bit of a loophole when it's a player playing up.
If they're playing up, the division you're playing up into, if you're a younger player, is immaterial.
Yep.
Correct?
No.
Yeah, there's a loophole in that.
Well, there is, Greg. In other words, if you got,
I think the loophole is that you roster them, though.
Premier Division players are not allowed to play Division II.
Yeah, but you can roster them down to, and you put them on the roster.
Absolutely.
Well, they would have to roster them at the lower division and guest play them up at the next division.
Yeah. Just do it the opposite way.
Right.
But if they already rostered on the other division, they can't come back down.
Yeah, the problem is that they're playing at the same time, though.
That's right.
Well,
the roster thing
But
can be flipped.
hey, it's already done. If they've already been rostered to a Premier Division and they've already played 3 Premier Division games, they're a Premier Division player.
They're a Premier Division player. Agreed.
Yep.
There's 3 different divisions
Yeah,
in that Premier League.
they can't change divisions. They
Yeah,
can't
you
change
can.
divisions down mid-season.
Yeah, you can.
Sure you can.
You can
No,
roster
you
them to a different team. Yeah, you
No,
can.
you can't.
Yeah, you can. They can drop them, Joe.
You can drop them to a different roster. You can. You just can't guest play them. But you can roster them to a different team if you want to.
They can switch the roster around, Joe. They just can't use them. They can't come from the 16s to the 15s. In our thing, and we could even, in this case,
You're not allowed in a guest playing role. You can't do it. But you can roster a kid from first division primary if they want to go play for a second division primary.
Well, right. You have to.
You're not guest playing them. They're on the roster.
Right. The only thing.
Ron, is there a reason why you can't do that? Is just roster them? What are we asking from to roster them to the 15s and then guest play them to the or club pass them to the 16?
But he's going to need more than 3 players.
He's got to.
That's the problem.
He's going to need more than 3 players, Paul, because he's only got 9 primarily registered.
Aren't the games?
They only have 8.
But
My bad. All right, so you're going to need at least 5.
All right, but let's start out. If they're playing the same day, they can't do that anyway, right?
Correct.
Correct.
I understand that.
That's the problem, not the rostering you can get around.
Well, providing they add and drop and add and drop.
Yes, but they can do that, easily enough. It's a pain in the ass, but they could do it. But the bigger thing is the girls that have played whenever they've played that day by FYSA rules cannot then play on another team, another game.
Is there any rule that you know of? I don't know of any that says you've played 3 or 4 games up in a Premier Division that you're not allowed to play in a lower division.
Well, you
as a guest player.
Players.
No, there's no such thing as a guest player, Kai.
Or a club pass player. Sorry, same thing. Club pass player.
No, but isn't the rule is you can club pass for the same team? Same day you can't club pass for 2 different teams?
You can.
Yeah, you can.
Club pass 3 of them, Les.
You can club pass for 2 different teams on the same day?
No,
that's the problem.
You can't play more than 1 game.
Right.
FYSA will not allow one player to play for 2 different teams.
2 different teams on the same day.
No, that's the problem. They really don't have 2 teams here is the issue. They got 1 team that they're trying to stretch to, which I understand what they're doing, but the real thing to do is to go with is to blend them and end up with a 16 team. Right?
And I see their issue because they played us today and they only had 8 players, and I understand that. Totally understand the issue here.
But the rule is the rule. I mean, that we have in place at the moment. Secondary players.
We can get around. We can figure out a workaround to get the numbers to the game if you can manipulate the roster enough. You can't get around the fact that they're playing. That's not us. This is FYSA. You can't get around that they're playing 2 matches in one day. And don't forget, if the matches aren't reasonably close in time and geography, it's not practical anyway, right?
Yeah, that's probably the most simplest thing to do is to take 3 of the players, move them down to the 15-year-old team, and club pass them up.
Yes.
Whenever the 16s play. Then what you only have to do is you only have to add and drop every week 1 or 2 or 3 players as opposed to 6 or 7.
Well, but you got to figure out that they're only going to be able to play 1 match, so they've got to be careful about how they do that.
Right. Hey guys,
Ron,
can we say something here?
Yeah.
Because I know we have some things to say as far as the girls have not played 2 games in one day yet.
Good.
Ron or Steve could better answer it, but I'm pretty sure they're looking at their scheduling.
Right.
From a registration standpoint, my question would be, are you saying I need to roster the true 03 girls onto the 15 squad and then they club up to the 16?
Yes.
But only 3.
Only 3.
Right, only 3 of them. The other ones can be added and dropped, and that solves the whole problem, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
And the only
let me ask you about the other thing. So, how many games have been played with the secondary players?
3 games in total.
3. So those will have to be forfeited.
Yeah, but I mean,
my other question was the games put in protest at the start of the games like the rule states? It's not marked on the game card as far as I know. I haven't seen them, but it was not.
Yeah, but to be fair, you guys did not follow the rules, though. So if somebody doesn't protest, doesn't mean that a club is allowed to go against USA League rules.
Right.
Ronnie, are you trying to save the record? Is that the idea?
No, as you brought up at the beginning, as we actually followed what FYSA guided us to do, even though obviously they're not supposed to be and don't care to be aware of your specific guidelines and rules. So the reason why Paul and our club rostered them that way is they said, this is the way you should approach doing it. So there's where our first fault came in. We went by that registration entity's recommendation on how we should do it.
Yeah, look, and Ron, nobody is here trying to, hang you or string you up. We're trying to come up to a practical way how these girls can finish the season, have a good time, and play soccer. but FYSA should have been aware or could have been aware, but not you should have, but it's incumbent upon us, meaning you guys, to know the rules in the league as far as secondary players. It's clearly stated that no secondary players, you can't do that. Whether FYSA knows it or not doesn't matter. They don't know our league rules. I agree, but that doesn't, that isn't enough to offset it. But it seems like the bigger problem, just can't, having the games forfeited. The girls have already played. They've already gotten 99% of the benefit of playing a good match. Hopefully, they were good matches. So they're done. I mean, those games are in. They've had them. They played and everything else. Now we're talking about a record. If we're just trying to figure out how to preserve a record, then we're in a whole nother ball game. That's not going to be possible because those secondary players are not allowed in USA, and those games will be forfeited. There's no doubt about that. I don't think, no matter who told anybody to do it. However, we're more interested in you being able to figure out how to get the girls to play the rest of the season and enjoy themselves and get what they're supposed to get out of this, which is some games, competition.
I agree.
Are you concerned about the record for some reason?
Can you roster up some youth? Do you have a U14 team by chance?
No, sir. Yeah, no, sir. We have recreation players at those ages, but we lost a couple players to injury for that team, and a couple players flaked out, so that's why they're short.
Yeah, we've all faced this, believe me. Everybody, we've all.
Do you have any more true U15s on the 16s that you could move?
Well, we have 14 on that squad, on the 16s.
How many do you have between both of them?
14 and 8. That's 26, right?
14 and 8 is 22.
22. There you go.
So you got 22. How many of them are actual under 15 by age?
Only 6 are actual 2002. Are true 2002.
That are 6 are true U16s?
Correct.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Going up is not a problem.
The other thing, too, keep in mind, you're allowed 22 on the roster. And you got 22 players. You didn't need to put 2 teams in. You could have played them all as 16s.
Yeah, but it wasn't that way. 2 things going into this. You have a team that's been together for X number of years, and then you have the secondary team that came in and had 11 committed players. 2 went down to injury, and 1 walked away and went back to where they came from.
That's 14 players, yeah.
So it wasn't intended. The season already started. How are we supposed to walk away when you guys have made the schedule? And that's
I agree.
Why we want to adapt like you're recommending.
I mean, as we when we start this thing, and again, this is not as a indictment as to what you guys have done, because these things happen. I mean, but when we start the thing, I always, as a president, I always tell them, look, if you're not well organized, drop out now, because it will avoid 1,000 problems later if you only got 10 or 11 or 12 players. Because, and anybody can tell you that's ever done this, every guy on this board has been through this. When you start out with 11, there's no way you're gonna have to find players elsewhere, because you're just gonna have sickness, injuries, unhappy player, whatever, and it's that starts the problem. You're already on one leg, kind of hopping. But that being said, you did get the games in that you got with the players playing, so at least they've played the matches. So all we're trying to do now is how to figure out how to get them through the rest of the season playing. Correct?
Sounds good. Sounds good. They're not, they're not going to like it, but they have to deal with it because that's the way it went down.
Well, are they undefeated at this point? I mean,
no. They played 5 games so far. They won 3. They lost 2.
Okay.
And the 2 they lost are this weekend. They played with 8 based after Greg's call. Sure. We made an adjustment because we needed to know what we should do properly here.
Sure.
So,
on the 15s and 16s, let me ask you this weekend. What age group lost this weekend? The 15s are we talking about, or the 16s?
Well, the 15s did, yes,
Okay.
and the 16s happened to lose. They both played 4 games. One was Thursday night. There was 1 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday.
Both teams played Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. So that would have been a problem to start with, right?
Yeah, that was a reschedule from Irma. So, yeah, it wasn't intended or designed that way.
No, I got you. But that's the only, I mean, from here forward to get enough players at the games, the first problem you got, now you're almost at the end of the season, but the first problem you got is to try and keep those matches separated so you're not in violation of the FYSA rule about one team, one game, one day. That's the first thing. The second one is that you can manipulate your roster and the club pass players in such a way to, to get those girls to finish the season. Who's in jeopardy? The 15s? Is that who's in jeopardy?
Yes.
Okay. And everybody, I mean, I'm assuming on the board would like to see the girls finish the match. So we got to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
You already got 3 club pass players. So now all you got to worry about is maybe 2 more every weekend. And you got to pick the 2.
Are these both Division I teams?
There's only one division in the 16 girls.
Right. So what division are the 15s in?
Division
2.
Division 2.
Division 2.
It's a
So,
team, right?
so what you said you got 22 total. So if we put 12 of them on the 03 girls roster, then you'd have 12. Well, let's put 13 there. If we put 13 there, you've got 13 for your 03 matches, and they're Division 2, so you can club pass 3 of them up to the 02s. That would give you, I believe, 12 for your 02 match. 12 eligible players.
That'll give
for
you
your
2
02
players to
matches.
make a decision about every week to get back to full strength on the
Yeah,
16.
he's got Joe. He's only got 6 true U16s.
Right.
And he
I
can only
understand
club
that,
pass.
but
He can only club pass 3 up. It only gives him 9.
I understand. I'm not saying that he should move all the 03s down.
Well, you
to
don't want to move
03.
all of the 15s, right?
What I'm saying is, if he builds his rosters, he's got 22 total. If he builds his rosters where he's got 13 roster players on the 03s, then he'd have 13 for his 03 matches, and he could club pass 3 up. So if he rosters 13 there, he'd have 9 remaining to leave on the 02 roster. They could be a mix of 02s and 03s, but he'd have 9 there and 13 there. He's got 22 total. So park 13 of them at 03, because you can't club pass them down from 02 Division 1.
Club pass them up to the 16s.
Exactly. You can't club pass them down from 02 Division 1
and then you got to drop
Division 2.
You got to drop and add 2. That's all.
Yeah. So then you got 13 on the 03s. You got 9 on the 02s. You can club pass 3 for every game. So you're going to be playing your 02 matches with 12 players. But your only problem at that point is just don't schedule your 03s and 02s on the same day, and you're in compliance. You got 13 on one team, you got 12 on the other, and you're in compliance.
Well, and you can re-roster, Joe. They can re-roster if they wish, as long as they're not the same day. That's not a problem.
I agree completely, Paul.
So
I think that's the solution to the problem.
The thing is, they want to load the 15s. That's the thing, the smart thing. Load the 15s, club pass 3 up, and then move a couple players. Don't move them down, move them up. That's the answer, right? However you want to do that. Club pass or re-roster. Unfortunately, I mean, it's but it's the same issue. All you're doing really is putting a little more pressure on a registrar to just get that dropped and added so that it gets on a game card. That's all.
Which I'm fine with the added pressure. I just want to make sure we understand what we're doing.
Yeah. Well,
what I'm doing.
you see, we're saying load the 15s. You've got 3 to come over, right? You've got the 16 girls as they are. You got 3 to come over, plus then you can re-roster. The other thing is if you push some of the 16s back into the. Don't forget, you've got till April 30th, so you do have some possibilities of staggering weekends even for the 16s and 15 girls. As long as you're not bringing them down from the 16s to the 15s, you're good. Which you don't need to do.
So just hear me out for a second. So we're gonna penalize the teams that played, even though we're still gonna use the same players the rest of the year, just based on a paperwork error.
Correct.
Yes, correct. Because if we can use secondary players here, and the reason is because, well, we have a paper thing, then I've got another 40 games where I'm just moving kids around and I don't have any more. You've got no more rules. You either got rules or you don't have rules.
It's still the same kids, though. I get it. We screwed up when we broke the rule. I understand that, but
yeah. So I mean, a forfeit means nothing as far as the play. The play has already taken place. They've already gotten in the benefit of the play. If we're worried about their record, then that's a whole nother thing. That's not salvageable at this point. But,
well, it still has to reflect for next year, though, in case there's a seeding issue for next year.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, the chances are very slim, though.
More than likely.
Well, in 16s, they might only have one group. You're assuming,
So that's what we're saying, what I put in chat.
Right.
There's 20 players. First, roster 13 on the 15s, which are all 03s.
Correct.
Roster 9, the remaining. And obviously that'll be mixed 2002s and 3s because we only have 6. And then that would be 12 if we club past 3 weekly. And we can re-roster. That means drop and then add to the other one as long as they don't have it on the same day,
Correct.
those 2003s. So we don't have to always go with just 12. We could go with whatever number we choose based on the price it costs to do.
Yes.
All right.
What's with the 2004?
It was a typo, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
On my part.
Ron, it's a real pain in the ass what we're asking, but unfortunately, you got 22 girls and 2 teams. That's really the essential. That's the start of the problem. What we're trying to do is a bad workaround.
Right. And we're trying to roster more players there, obviously, so they can really participate and not necessarily do what we're doing.
Yeah, and that may after the break, you may have your numbers in both of them. You ain't gonna worry about it. You just don't want to moving them from the 16s to the 15s as club pass player.
Well, he's going to need the numbers anyhow if he decides to go into any regional or state cup competition.
Right.
You're going to have to make a choice on those teams when the roster freeze comes, Ron. You're going to have to make some decisions then.
Yep.
Because they're going to freeze that roster. You're not going to be able to re-roster. You can club pass, but then you'll be unable to re-roster.
Right.
That's going to be coming up quickly because all the dates moved into January.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
So, okay. We got one more just like that, Paul. Is Kevin still here? Kevin Cassidy, is he still here?
Can I interject something here regarding this team?
Sure.
I don't know if we got the game report in for today as yet, but there was an incident at our field where the sheriff had to be called. We had 5 sheriff out because parent behavior was really bad. And one parent came across the field and basically attacked the referee.
Which game was this?
The 12 o'clock game against Shooting Star and Winter Haven.
Well, Les, we can't do anything about that now.
I just wanted to. I don't know if you want to talk about it.
That you get in the game report though, and that'll come up naturally Monday, Tuesday when we start next week.
What age group?
U15 girls, the same team we're talking about.
But that's a whole nother. What we're trying to do now is get their roster situation. Right. But that will come up if they now. Hopefully, Les, the ref wrote up back. Now we had one attack last year from a parent to a ref. It is I believe it's a felony in the state of Florida. It was in Manatee County, and Greg pursued it, and Manatee County said they were not going to prosecute. So just so you know, these referee things, they should be
Right.
The legislature has done a lot putting laws in, but if they don't, what we couldn't get is the police report to see exactly why that county refused to prosecute that parent. But in this case, if we've got a police report and everything else, we should have if it's an attack on a youth sports coach or referee, there's a state law right now in Florida that's a felony up to, I think it's $10,000 fine and you're in jail or something. So if that is the case, Les, we'll pursue that as an attack on a youth.
I'm not into prosecuting people. I just wish people to behave properly. I'm not into all of that.
You got to start somewhere, Les, because you can't have someone bust down on things, putting their hands on a ref. Period.
Right.
I mean,
the other,
for us.
Les,
yes.
and Ron, keep in mind this: if we do find out that a parent did come across the field and attack the referee, whoever that coach is going to get suspended for the rest of the year. That's in the FYSA.
Let's just wait until all the reports come in before.
Yeah. We can't do that without any.
Mike, that's what I just said. I said when the game report comes in, if that's what happens.
We were getting ahead of ourselves, though.
Right.
Let's get the Manatee girls.
Okay, Manatee girls. Here's the deal. Kevin, are you still here? No, Kevin didn't sit, so he's going to end up with whatever. All right, here's the deal.
That's okay, but this is 14s and 15s.
This is U14 Manatee girls. They have 4 primary players on that team. 4.
All right.
9 secondary players.
Okay. They can't have secondary players, so that starts it.
We understand that, but they don't even have a complement. They need, FYSA says they need to have 11 primary. They don't even have 11.
They need to re-roster how are those girls going to play a game? How were they going to play?
Well, we don't know where those players are coming from. That's number one.
But they got to roster all of them. That's all there is to it. In other words, just tell them, hey, you got to have a roster. We don't care where they're coming from. If they're not club pass, it's not a play. They've got to roster those players on that under 14 team.
Well, and right, what we need to find out is like what we've got with Ron here. Ron's, it's his 16s that are 15s. We don't know that with Manatee. We don't know what the makeup is there.
But we're assuming they'll be in separate seasons.
14s?
Yes. 13s and 14s just started playing. 15, 16, 17, 18s are in a season.
Right, I got 2004 and 2005s on here. So,
but whatever they got to do before they start this season, they haven't started yet, or they started today. How could they couldn't have played before yesterday? 14s.
Right.
All right. So, they just can't play like that. They got to have a team.
It was just brought to our attention. So what we need to do is
how did anybody bring it to attention? It happened yesterday?
I don't know. I guess.
But it would have had to happen yesterday, because otherwise, why would we see a roster from 14 girls that are not playing? Our league didn't even start till yesterday.
True.
I can speak to that because the coach somehow had the conversation or was aware of the Seminole situation, and then he realized that he would be breaking the rules, and he came up front and said,
"Oh, okay.
I don't want to do that. What do I do?" He didn't know that didn't allow secondary players.
Right.
Hey, Sherry.
Yes.
That Manatee, is that the same situation that Seminole's in, where they were 15 registered, 15 up, or 14 down, or whatever?
It doesn't matter though, Greg. Forget the what it is. He's got to register.
I just want to know what he had said to her. That's all, because I'm going to have to.
Okay, I looked into this. This is a little bit different situation.
Joe.
He's got U14 players that his plan was he was going to roster them up and let them play senior season with the U15s, and then that season was going to come to a stop,
Right.
And they were going to play junior season with the U14 team.
Okay.
And that doesn't work. That's somebody intentionally double rostering a player, except he was double rostering 9 players.
Correct.
They cannot be a primary player for 2 teams. We got to
no. He's got to drop them. He's got to drop those players from that other team.
He can't drop them. They've already played the entire first half of the senior season with the U15 team.
Doesn't matter.
Now he wants to turn them into U14 players so he can have 2 teams where he really only has 1 team.
Joe, if he re-rosters them, if they re-roster them, right? They're completely different players. In other words, if these girls all left, let's just say, and they went to Seminole, they could all roster as under 14s. There's no rule to stop that whatsoever. In fact, what he's doing really is not that uncommon. He's having a group of girls play to get some more play in, right? When that 15 season ends, he's gonna gut that team, basically that 15s, because what's going to happen is when a state cup or something else happens, he's not going to be able to play like that.
Okay, I'll give him a call tomorrow.
But we don't have anything in the rules about rostering. We're looking at the rosters. We're talking about you can't have secondary or guest players. Once you re-roster a player, if they're legitimately an under 14 player, no matter what they've done. In other words, Joe, if they were all rostered as 14s and he had them guest playing up, in other words, he club passed them and then had the rest of them on the roster, if he just brought them back to the other team, there would be nothing. There would be nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with club passing 3 U14s up with your U15s or your U16s in the preseason to get them some work. But there's a difference between club passing 3 players per match and double rostering 9 players.
He can't double roster them.
That's what he's doing. They were rostered with the U15s for the entire first half of the season.
But he's going to now drop them off of that team.
Okay, and we're going to allow him to do that?
Yeah, we have. There's nothing. Check our rules. I mean, there's nothing we have to changing rosters. Girls can go back and forth between rosters. That's not an issue. It's not something we can control. It's FYSA. Once they're on that under 14 roster, we recognize them as age appropriate and play appropriate. The only rules we have are against guest players or club pass players coming back to a team and playing.
So what's going to happen in January when the senior season resumes?
That's going to be his problem.
And the junior season is still
going. But that's not our issue. I mean, we can't manage his. I think he's making a mistake doing that to this group because somebody's going to get screwed, my opinion. Right? Somebody's going to say, "Hey, we gotta freeze the roster. Your team doesn't exist anymore." If it continued like this, that's what would happen. Now he might be able to get more girls in and actually have a roster on both of them. We can't predict that.
I get what you're saying, and I get what you're saying.
But we don't have
there's
any.
Not something that prevents it. I think we need to put something in place because this is roster manipulation, is what it is.
Yes, I agree.
And I think we need to put something in place to prevent it.
I think where they're going to get messed up.
I think a player should only be allowed to be on one USA League roster as a primary player per season. I don't think that they should be allowed to be rostered as a primary player to more than one USA League team in the same seasonal year, because this is 9 players. This is roster manipulation.
Yeah. What you'd have to do, Joe, is write a bylaw. In other words, we'd have to put that in the rules of bylaws for the end of next year, because right now we don't have anything like that.
Hey, Joe, send me an email with that, and I'll put it in because the bylaws, when you go to
do the bylaws, Joe, we put that in and say, look, do we want to do this?
Yeah, send me an email, Joe.
I will, and I get it, and I don't think that,
I don't know that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think
Well,
that it's been brought to our attention.
yeah, but we've had.
If there's anybody that would look at this and say this is something that we want teams to do, you know, like you said, Paul, I think he's making a mistake doing that. I don't think it's the right
yeah,
thing
but that's
to do.
their problem, though. It's not our problem.
In other words, if it were that club, if that were me, I mean, if I were a parent, that'd be the last time I'd ever see Manatee or somewhere like that again.
Right, and I just don't think we want to have a league that allows people to manipulate things in that way. So it's been brought to our attention. So
well, is it manipulation, or is it allowing 7 U15 girls to play soccer?
That's what the club pass is for. But if it's an entire team, you're basically you're creating 2 teams where you really only have.
But we've actually had teams play under 15, Joe, and then playing under 14s.
I guess we need to decide as a league if that's something that we want.
A guy, because they wanted to get him battle hardened. I don't know what the idea was. They went through the 15 schedule, right? And they committed. They finished their games. Now, if they hadn't, we would have been fining them. Don't forget, if these guys haven't finished their games, Joe, and they abandon that when the freeze comes and they haven't finished them, now they fall under our rules as to they're not playing anymore, right? Now we're fining them for not attending games.
Well, Paul, did that U15 team play Division 3?
Who?
Yes.
The U15 team.
Yes.
Well, I can speak for me. Like last year, I played U14 and U15, but I played Division 3.
Well, yeah, that's right. In fact, you did that too. What?
Right. So if that's the case, there's no problem with it, really.
Well,
let me check. Hold on. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, but that's Les. You're one of the guys. We had a guy.
Division 2, Les.
They play Division 2?
Yes.
I thought if you're doing U15
it doesn't matter your division.
and a U14 team, you had to play Division 3.
No, there's no. We have nothing in our bylaws that say
yeah,
that.
you do. But I did that last year. I played Division 3 U15 and Division 2 U14.
But when you played the 15s at Division 3, you were not required to play in the 3rd division. You could have played in the 2nd division. There's no rule.
I thought I was required to play in the Division 3.
No. Hell, you could play in the 1st division if they were good enough, Les.
I didn't know that. I thought the rule was the only way you could do the split season is if you played Division 3.
What you were doing is just, I mean, it's happened not often, but I mean, it's not that rare. You get a group that's very good, wants to play, they're fit to play. You put them in the 15s and they get a whole summer of play. But the thing is, when you do that, you've got to finish your season. So you obviously were able to get all your games in and then basically disband that team.
Right.
Correct? That 15s didn't play anymore as a 15 team the rest of the year, correct?
Yeah.
But you made your obligation to USA 100%.
Well, we were registered as a placeholder team for that group.
Yeah, but I'm saying you didn't leave. The problem this guy will have, not to beat a dead horse, is if he's rescheduled some matches, he's not going to have a team when the roster freeze comes. He's not going to have a team to show up for the reschedule.
Right.
And at that point, we're going to fine him.
Okay. All right.
That's the trick with that is to get done and play, But there's
I think that
bylaw against it for sure.
I think the big difference is Les did not misrepresent it as 2 separate teams.
Yeah, but Joe,
it was the same team.
But we don't look into them.
Registered in 2 divisions.
But the composition of a team doesn't matter. In other words, when we're looking at a team, when they register with FYSA, the efficacy of that team is that team. We believe they are a team. We don't care if they're all the same kids or anything else. As long as they're registered, they're at the right age, and there's no flow from older groups playing with younger groups. It's not a matter of representing it. It's just a matter that he is that under 15 team that Les had, let's see, last year. disbanded essentially at the end of the USA season.
Right. We had the same players on both teams. We didn't have two different.
The same thing will happen with the Manatee team. They're going to choose one or the other when the roster freeze comes, and this other team is going to disband. They won't have enough players.
All right.
Because otherwise, why we stay away from that is we can't be chasing one play. In other words, we'd have to get every roster and review all the rosters. That's that's an issue we don't want to get into if we can avoid it with 500-something teams. But that's a Manatee. Guys could just get. I mean, so you got to tell him, Greg. He either comes up with a roster, or he doesn't play.
Got it.
It's fine. I'll write the proposal. It'll either get voted in or it won't.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But bring that up. We'll bring that in, and
that's the process. We'll follow the process. If it gets voted in,
but now don't forget, Joe, you're chasing individual players. In all of the age to monitor that. It's the same problem we have with the CDL playing two games. We don't know if they're playing a CDL game. All we can say is a roster to our USA team.
Well, yeah, we can't legislate what other leagues they play in, or if they play in a tournament game that weekend or something like that. But we can legislate if they're primarily rostered to more than one USA League team in the same seasonal year. We can legislate that if we want to. I don't know if we want to or not. I mean, we have a board. Everybody has a vote.
Yeah, no. I got you. Yeah, but put that in. I mean, that's the next step.
Okay.
But right now we don't have one. That's not an issue.
All right. So what are we doing with the 3 games?
They're as far as I'm concerned, they're they lost those games.
Okay. All right.
Now, would they have games in the other? I didn't look, but wouldn't they have the other age group as well? So those would be forfeits also?
Well,
obviously on the 16s, they're not secondary players.
They're not secondary players.
Oh, are they?
Right.
They must have loaded up the 16 roster, Sherry. That's what I figure. Instead of doing it the other way around.
Okay.
Well,
they should have loaded up the 15 roster and then club passed 3 up and moved a couple over from game to game, and that would have been the way to do it.
The 15 roster, they're all primaries with a gaggle of club pass, but they're all primary. They're all primary to the 15s.
And only 3 club pass?
Well, it looks like everybody's been club passed at one time or another, but that's okay.
Yeah, that is okay.
It's just that the 14s, only
You're talking Manatee now.
Right, only have 4. They only have four players, or the rest, they're second.
Are you guys talking Manatee or Seminole right now?
Manatee.
Yeah, I was talking about Seminole.
Oh,
correct.
That's what I thought. And Greg, you were looking at Manatee.
Yeah, I'm looking at Manatee. I thought we moved on.
What you're saying, and again, you're saying the 16s probably had a problem also.
The
We
15
didn't have any secondary players on the 16 roster.
Yeah, they must have loaded up the 16s. I get that.
We did.
It would have been smarter to dump the 15s and then move them up and switch a couple over. That would have been the easy way, the preferred way to do it.
Right. The 16 was the team that we've had for years here, though.
Yes,
and the 15s was the new team coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why it ended up the way it did.
No. I mean, it's not a, this isn't some plot that you were thinking you're trying to get away with something. It's just you can't have secondary players.
Right.
That's a rule. That's just the way it is. If we make an exception here, then we got to make an exception in all of them. The reason is benign as far as I'm concerned, but it doesn't change the fact that you can't have the secondary players playing in the game. The referee should have caught that before the game started.
So please clarify for me, just so I put forfeit on the right age group.
Seminole.
I know that.
Seminole 2003.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Seminole 15.
Yeah.
15s. Okay.
15s. Yes.
15.
Yep.
2003.
whatever their results are in the U16 division, those results stand. There's nothing wrong with those results.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood.
And the Manatee thing, we don't have any results yet, so let's head it off before we have an issue. Right? The season started yesterday. Did they have the secondary players in the game?
I don't have a game card back.
Oh, that's okay. So let's take a look. But I mean, tell them right now, no, you got to do it differently. You got to re-roster all those players.
Right. Understood. So that would be 14.
14s and 15s are more understandable. 15, 16 becomes a more difficult feat.
Well, the problem I have is that I'm looking at, we're talking about the girls U14, correct? I got it. Okay, there's Manatee right there.
So they haven't played. They started yesterday.
Let me look at their current schedule. They would have played, their first game is 10/22.
So they haven't played.
They haven't played yet. They don't play for another 2 weeks.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So tell them, here's how you become legal.
Right.
We only care what happens when they walk on the field, the roster.
Right. And when I'm looking at their 15-year-old team, they're legit.
I don't care about the 15s. Let's forget
primaries. So it's no big deal. We're done. Yeah. Over and done.
They can do whatever they want between those two teams.
Right.
Sooner or later, something's going to happen.
TBU U15 issue. Here's the deal on this one. I mean,
this isn't us again. I don't know why we're looking at this. I'll tell you why. We don't play the centers.
I'm sending an email to Vars and telling him he's got to work this thing out with Robke, because it's the second time Larry hasn't assigned any ARs, and the second time the center went and stole the money from the ARs. He took pay for the ARs along with his center pay.
But look, that's not our issue.
I said I'm going to.
Oh no,
TBU,
but
if TBU allows that. If TBU allows the center to take it, he takes it.
Paul, can I say this to you? We've been this been going on for quite a long time. I've done that many times where there's no AR, including last week at Celtic.
And do you pay the center?
Everybody got paid full. The center got all the money. It's not. This is not the issue.
Why did someone at the field do that?
Because the center feel that, and then they use two people from the crowd to do the AR, but those two people don't get paid. The center get all the money.
Yeah.
No.
Well, in our fields, it doesn't happen.
Don't do that.
Referee should be sent home. It's not right.
And their argument is they did both the AR and the center.
They didn't
do no such thing.
Les, that's your field. You tell them, here's what you're going to get paid.
Les,
well, I have paid them, and I've never complained because I thought that was a rule.
No, it's no rule. Les, take 3 envelopes with you to the match next time.
Okay. Yep. Well, I usually do, but the center takes all the money.
No. The center doesn't take anything if there's no ARs. You only give him his pay, and then when you see the ARs show up, then you give him theirs.
But that's not USA. That's not USA's money. That's yours, Les.
I remember that because I've done it over the years.
But Paul,
I've been doing this now for 7 years, and they've always taken my money.
But Paul, these are our members, and we are supposed to protect them with some kind of a statement to the referees.
You're gonna make a statement, Mike, but I'm saying the point is that the club should not be paying them for the.
No, but the referees shouldn't be expected to pay it, and they should be on notice that they shouldn't be getting.
Didn't we already do this last year? Did we not?
I don't recall us sending out anything.
No, we went through this last year.
Yeah, I'll send an email to all the assigners outlining this issue.
Yeah, because this came up before, Mike, and we said no, man. The referee gets his pay. No.
Well, yeah, but obviously we still got referees stealing money from our members.
Well, I didn't know that. I've been paying it, so I've had it done many times.
Dan, hey, I gotta start getting to your games.
It happened in Celtic last week. The Celtic coach paid the full price, even there was no AR there.
No. Absolutely not.
Because he was even saying, why should I pay the full price when there's no AR?
Correct.
You don't pay the full price because all the parents are going to do is what the AR does, and that's called the ball in and out.
Most club does not know that. I did the same thing at Venice. The Venice coach paid the full price, and there was no.
But Les, we don't want to get into it right now. only the referee gets paid for his duty, and the linesman get paid for their duty. If they're not there, only the referee gets paid.
I don't.
What
think
happened in the past
coaches
happened in the past. Going forward, that's the rule.
The coaches don't know that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That we got to send out the information to everybody that it sets out the policy from the league.
Well, maybe we'll add it to that little statement we had as far as the how things work around the thing, and say, hey, we'll add another line to the
Inclement weather deal.
guidelines we just put out, Mike.
I think
make
I'm
it
going to
very
become a
clear.
referee. I'm going to take my referee exam this week.
You'll just be in
Easy
time
money.
not to get paid, though, man.
I could get paid easy and less stress as a
Yes.
CPA.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hey, but Les, you'll only be looking for the games where there's no assistance.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, if you're smart, don't have your guy not make assistance for the game. So I'll take it off.
Yeah, well, it's been done for years, and I'm glad to see it addressed because I thought that was a rule.
No way. When we went in, Mike, you and I and Greg, maybe it's just you and I and Greg, but we went into this, and I think Merritt was the one that said, in fact, it was Merritt, said there's no way the AR gets all the money. I mean,
Correct.
the center gets all the AR's money.
That's correct. I remember Merritt saying that. Okay, well,
I mean, we clarified that. We this issue came up before.
Well, we should also send out something to those referees, or the assigners should be sending out notice to those referees,
Well,
asking why they took the money from the ARs.
I'm on it. Okay, Mike.
Good man, Greg. You're the best.
I'll send an email out to all the assigners
I
tomorrow.
mean, this has come up before, and there was no doubt about it that we were all in the same
Right.
plane as far as the center not getting the AR's money. Period. No matter what.
No, agreed. Okay.
Just one quick thing. I wanted to jump back to the Seminole situation. I hate to see somebody get punished and have 3 games forfeited.
Absolutely.
It's curious because one of the 3 is against Manatee that also has this roster issue.
Well, Manatee doesn't have it yet, Joe.
They don't have a roster issue.
And we're kind of fixing the problem for Manatee by heading it off ahead of time, but we didn't notice this and head it off ahead of time with Seminole. I get that they have some culpability here, but the 3 teams they played against did not bring up the fact that there were more than 3 club pass players.
Wait a minute.
Hang on. Let me say what I have to say, and then you can jump all over me. All right.
Will do.
All I'm saying is we can go to the 3 teams they played, which was Manatee, Auburndale, and let me look at it here.
Charlotte.
Manatee, Auburndale, and Charlotte, and say, do you want to file a protest because they used more than 3 club pass players?
Well, Charlotte did.
No.
And if they want to file the protest, then we'll rule in their favor on the protest because Seminole did in fact violate the 3 club pass player rule. And if they don't want to file the protest, then we won't be the decision maker to punish Seminole, who's one of our member clubs.
Yeah, but now that it's been brought to our attention,
it's impossible to now not do anything.
Well, because what about last couple of seasons where we punished teams? Even my club was punished a couple of years ago. I mean, we can't make an exception now when we did this in the last couple of years where we forfeited.
I'm not saying that we should make an exception. I'm just saying personally, if it was me and it was my club and I didn't catch it, I don't want to forfeit from a team. The game was played. It was the result of the game. So before we just heavy-handedly put 3 forfeits on one of our member clubs, I'm just suggesting that we reach out to their 3 opponents and say, do you want to file a protest or do you not?
2 of the 3 did. 2 of the 3 did.
Did they file the protest at the start of the game like your rules state?
Well, I mean, again, let's go back to this. the fact is that we now are faced with the fact that we have had secondary players. The referees should have caught it also. Okay, that should have started right there. The game should not have taken place.
Let me say something about the referees. These referees don't do a very good job with doing the pre.
No, they don't,
pregame.
Les, but if you have another set of referees for us, let me know.
No, I'm talking about the pregame stuff that need to be checked.
Oh, I know. Les, you're preaching to the choir. It is not a great system. We got the beginning of these games. Much of the stuff gets by because we know it's not getting checked properly.
Yeah, because all they want is, can I have the money first?
Yeah. The problem we're faced with is the practical problem that we need every week. We need 500 refs. And we know that some of them are not doing a very good job. We're asking the assigners. The assigners are telling us, who do you want me to use instead of these guys? That's what we're faced with. This referee crisis, this is now the result of the referee crisis, that you can't just riff out 50 refs that aren't doing their job because you don't have them. So now you can't even have a game played.
But I think the real problem is on the last thing you're dealing with on your agenda, referee training. It's all training. They need to be told what they need to do pregame.
It is, and if you've got a solution, you got to let us know, because this has been 5 years of this problem, and we still have no solutions.
Well, the referee assigners need to be in charge of training for their area. All the referee assigners in their area need to be in charge of training.
I've already brought that up to them. That was one of the things when I sat and met with all the assigners, and we had the online meetings for almost a month. An entire month I had online meetings with 50 people attending every meeting. And I went through the whole deal about the pregame, making sure that there's no secondary and there's only 3 club pass allowed, blah, 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 blah. And, I went right down the list of everything, and we're still
fighting. In the last 5 years, we've probably had 30 meetings, either in person.
We're not even sure the right players are on the field when they check the players in, because they don't look at the cards.
They've missed that.
Agreed.
They've missed that, Les. The guys got on there and they had a name that didn't make any sense, and the kid.
Exactly. I could have bring 15 new players and they would know the difference.
No, I got you.
Hey, you can play a 14-year-old. You can play a 12-year-old team and have one of the players drive the team bus to the game.
I could put a uniform on and suit up for my team, and they would know the difference.
But it's unfortunate. It's redundant almost. I mean, our problems with referees are at a critical stage, but FSR and FYSA have done nothing at all. We're operating in a vacuum here with our referees. To my knowledge, us and the guys in Central Florida are the only ones doing anything with the referees. A guy in South Florida that assigns all the referees controls them. He doesn't have problems because he's got all of the games. And he has enough referees to get rid of the shitty ones.
Maybe we need to do that then. At least look into it. To have our own USA referees.
Yes, you should do that. I think that works better.
Yeah. Well, that's something we really have not do not have the labor for right now.
No, understood. But
that's a 5-year project, and we've been talking about it, and perhaps we do that. But right now, we're in the middle of a season. What are we going to do about the refs that are going to the center of the field right now? Do we fire them and wait till we find good refs?
Ask your assigner to retrain them.
The answer is no.
Ask your assigner to retrain them and what to look for and what to do pregame.
And, we've offered them that, Les, and we don't have all of them that do it. Should we not? The one idea was, if you don't come to these meetings, you don't get any USA games. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough referees if we did that, we wouldn't have enough referees for our games. And that's the problem. The referee, it starts right at the beginning, is we do not have enough qualified referees right now to get rid of the weaker ones, or the ones that we feel aren't doing a great job.
So these folks, like, for example, that covered the games that we had secondary players. Is there any follow-up in place with that referee and the referee assigner for USA to say, hey, these are things you're missing?
Well, we just actually found this out, so we'll go back to the assigner.
I know, but what's in place? What is there anything in writing? Is there any?
No, man. I mean, come on. Well, I mean, you've got a volunteer board and two people.
I know about
You're going to have to get back. I mean, for that kind of management, you need a business. And if we want to charge $500, we could be able to do that. But it's overwhelming. Go back and go to every referee after every match. We got 5,000 games we play. 5,000 or 3,000. I'm sorry, 3,500.
3,500.
All right. So here's a
go back into those games and start to try and modify in 10 weeks. 3,500. It's physically impossible. It's a good idea.
You're a signer. He gets paid, right?
He does.
Why don't you hold him accountable? He gets paid.
We do. We do.
So, there's got to be something in place. If there's a certain percentage, if there's certain things that aren't being done to your liking, it's got to have.
That's a good idea.
On him. I'm not picking on him, but that's where it starts creating that responsibility down the line.
That's correct. And Greg, I'm sure, has already spoken to the assigner for these matches or will. But again, he's going to say, that ref, I assign him because I got nobody else, but he doesn't check. So he says to the assigner, to the ref, listen, do this again. Say, yeah, I'll do this.
Mm-hmm. But they also get.
Well, hang on. All three of the games. All three of the games in question.
This is not a business. We aren't able to fire these guys. We don't.
All three of the games in question were home games for Seminole. So was it not their referee assigner?
No.
Not for the center.
Correct?
That's our assigner.
Yeah.
For the center.
Oh, as far as the center goes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The center is your assigner.
Otherwise, you'd have chaos. I mean, we started that 25 years ago. We did have, when you went to a field, you had the local refs. Well, that lasted about 3 years without at least 80% of the games, people complaining that the ref were homers and they were calling all the games.
But the USA assigner should work in conjunction with the local assigner.
He should. He should.
Agreed.
He should.
And I think there'll be a better solution if we do that. Because I can tell you, my assigner works really hard to train these kids.
Who assigns your centers out there?
Huh?
Who assigns the centers out there?
Where, at Winter Haven?
Yeah.
Tony Mealy?
No.
I think it's what's his name?
Dave Deegan.
Dave Deegan, yeah.
So is your guy in touch with Dave Deegan?
He has tried to talk to him, but he has not gotten anywhere in trying to work with him. That's the response he gives me.
Well, let's fire both of them. And then we'll go out next weekend and see how many refs are out on the field when we're ready to play. That's the problem we have here is this thing is this. In other words, you can pull people with you, but you don't have control to go into that. We should be at that referee.
Well, I think
this week.
I think people are just
being labor. We're not back to the referees every week. The other thing,
I think people are just being lazy and don't take what they do seriously.
We don't get we don't even get the cards yet. I mean, we're still working on that part of it, and we're miles ahead of where we were 4 years ago. This thing is held together very tenuously, Les, as far as control.
Yeah,
and that's the what should I say? The key to this whole thing working is to keep it moving straight ahead and get the matches in and everything else, and then try and tweak it. But when you get down to the referees, we really got problems.
It takes no more than 10 minutes to do your pregame work, okay? People just don't take their job seriously, and they don't pay attention to detail.
Yes, they don't. That's correct. But Les, it's not all of them.
That is true, but I've had more arguments. I've been to game where the wrong age players playing in my age bracket, and the referee refused to let me see the card. And the referee knew the player shouldn't be there.
But we do have a form. We're asking everybody, if you've got something you see down there, we have a form on a website. Please send the complaint form in, and then we got something tangible to deal with. When we're dealing with a posteriori, in other words, after behind, it doesn't do us any good. We need that report that day from that coach that you have to say, I don't think my check-in was adequate. And here's the referee's name. And there's a report, we have it, then we can go do something about it.
I went to one field where the players had duplicate numbers and tape all over their numbers.
But who was the center?
And when I asked the center, he said, if you talk to me one more time, I'm going to give you a red card and remove you from the sideline.
Then wait till after the game, Les, but you find out his name, you should have sent us a report in. How do we know?
I understand, but, things like that, when you question something that doesn't look right, people threaten you.
Not everybody. Just the weak ones.
Well, I've only had one situation like that, but I'm sure it happened a lot.
But how many games do you have every weekend?
Me?
Yeah, I mean, you got, in a season, you got hundreds of games out there.
Exactly.
So we're still trying to, with the 80-20 rule, we're trying to prevent things from happening. But the referees, this particular issue is a problem from the very basis. We're not developing them. We don't have them, and we don't have the kind of value. Now, that being said, that's right up through FIFA. There were not enough refs in the world.
With their assignments each week, they should be sent a checklist. This is your checklist before the game.
Don't you have that, Greg? They do have that.
They have it, but here's the problem. You're allowed to take the local assigners, the guys at each of the club that do the ARs and the centers for the younger age groups, okay? And the ARs for the older age groups. They get their licenses online. There is no class for them. There is no
Greg, that's not what he's, I mean, that's
I know what he's saying, but I'm just saying the problem.
It's the center that's the problem. It's not the ARs.
Yeah.
It's the centers.
Because the centers do the check. The center do the check.
It's the control of the centers right now that we're talking about. We just don't have it to the degree that we would like to. We do think the problem is down to a 5%. In other words, 95% of the matches we think we're getting what we want. But obviously with the Seminole thing, we didn't. We didn't. Who was assigned and who was that? Seminole. Who's assigned in that? Is that Dave?
That's St. Pete. That's Dave Peterson.
Yeah. So ask Dave. Say, Dave, the guy missed 3 of them, right? That's all you got to do.
Yeah. No problem.
Dave knows. Dave's a pro. I mean, he's doing all the high school games. He's doing all the stuff. You say, can you explain to that guy how he missed all of that?
Okay.
The TBU thing's a whole nother thing. That's not us. I mean,
yeah.
that's
fine. Like I said, I'll send whatever needs to be sent out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I heard about this tonight because I thought that was a rule.
No.
No. Sherry,
we did this in detail last year, Les, and got it clarified 100% because we had disagreements ourselves.
Yeah.
Sherry, the next item there, did you bring that up?
I only put it there because Celtic, John Merrick Cone, 19 girls, he'd been emailing me that this team did not want to reschedule. What were we going to do about it? I guess the team's kind of falling apart a little bit. But I don't know at this point really that there's much we can do about it until they truly don't come up with another date. But just because he kept emailing me, I said I would add it for discussion at the meeting. But
let's go. The one thing is when the other guy's not cooperative, don't you at some point give him a date?
That's kind of hard to do because I have no knowledge of availability.
But I said if you guys can't agree on a date, we'll give you a date.
I mean, yeah, I can tell him that.
And if you don't show up at that date, that's the only solution in the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Paul, it also comes down to the reasons why people want to reschedule.
Yes.
I'm seeing people wanting to reschedule because they don't have they have a coach that has 2 or 3 teams and he can't.
Got you. Yeah, and that's not a reason to reschedule.
Exactly.
So if they won't reschedule, I mean, in the end, though, Sherry, if they won't reschedule, the other team's got to go and play. Or they get fined. I mean, that's the end of it, right? That's the final.
Right.
You know, you could say, hey, I'll give you a date if you guys both agree that the date I give you, you'll go. If they say, no, we're not going to do that, say, well, in the game stands, don't go, we're going to fine you and you're going to forfeit the game. That's all we can do, because we can't have a league just like with Joe suggested. If you got a league and you got rules, and then we have to go back and say, is it, you know, and check everybody and see if is it okay that they had secondary players? With 3,500 games, the system doesn't work well like that. You know,
Right.
that's why some of these rules are rules after 20 years, you know, just like this thing. You know,
Right.
the reschedules are reschedules, man.
Well, here's, Paul, the problem with Brooksville is this. They had 16 girls they started with. 2 were injured, 3 quit for a job, and 1 has volleyball.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Now
matter.
they only have, and they have another one who has a real bad family emergency, leaving them with 9 to play. This is from the get-go. They've only had 9 players.
Greg, then drop out of the league right away, and we'll see what we can do. But I mean, if you get in the middle of a thing, there's 1,000. If there's not 1,000, there's 2,000 reasons why your team is underperforming. And we make it a point in the meetings. I make it a point every year to tell them, if you're underorganized at all, drop out right now. Stop today. But people, you know, that's human nature, man. They just don't listen, and they don't think it's them.
Right. Okay.
And we get to Brooksville and even Nature's Coast. I'm still frosted at them because they're 1,000 miles away, and they got 2 teams, and one of them drops out right before we're finished the schedule. So we got to put buys in there. Stuff like that we probably got to start eliminating some of the clubs that really are not organized properly to actually do this. And It sounds cold, but it's not. It's for the best. It's like cutting off a bad appendage, you know. And you got to save the body instead of having the limbs rot off, you know. Some of these clubs that cannot get the rules straight and cannot get to matches and cannot get referees to the matches, we don't need them. I mean, it hurts our credibility as a league to have people like that in every year, and that's, you know, we'll have to take a harder look. We've done okay, but I mean, most of our matches get played, but still.
All righty.
Hey, we got one more that Willie. I didn't see Willie in there.
Yeah,
we had a coach at FC Tampa, who the center complained about them touching his kid, as it turns out. He said striking him. That we now know that's not true either. But Coco was, I don't know where Coco is now. He was here earlier, but so I got to the president. We're going to go to Coco, but I think that Willie needs probably. I mean, I think that type of thing's dangerous to have happen. Now, I understand in the Spanish community, I've been told about 9 times that when you grab a kid's ear, it's like that's what they, you know, that's how they do it. That's what Willie did. He can't do that during a game to his kid, even though the kid fouled out in like 12 minutes and was pissed at him, and the kid and he were having, you know, obviously having a disagreement. So, you know, I told him I think he played this weekend because they didn't run him off. They did not eliminate him from the game. You really have no thing other than to issue a warning to him at the very least that you can't touch him, even if it's your own kid. You cannot touch him on a sideline, you know, even if it's an endearing parental thing. So I don't know if anybody else wants to. I mean, I think we send something to Coco officially and say, look, no matter what happens, because the problem with this also is the center does not speak Spanish. So the AR had to relay all this information to him after the game because the center wrote it up, but really didn't witness any of it himself. He's taken the AR's interpretation of what happened. Now, the AR does speak Spanish, so I'm assuming that he did understand what went on. But it's still concerning, and I think we should at the very least we should get a letter out to Coco at FC Tampa and explain, hey, this doesn't work. And, you know, if we hear of anything else like this, we're just going to, you know, we're going to suspend somebody for a couple games, you know. I know they played this weekend. I don't know what happened. I know hopefully that's it. But the kid has had 4 yellow cards, had 2 yellow cards in that game, so 3 yellow cards. So another game he's going to have another yellow card. So the child, he's under 16, is, as we all know, acting out, is continuing to get yellow cards every match. His father's the assistant coach, and he's, you know, I mean, this one he didn't last 12 or 14 minutes. I mean, it was that long before he was out of the match.
Yeah, he was thrown out in the 20-minute, and I'll be talking to Willie this week in regards to that situation.
Yes. Oh, good, Coco, you're here. So, I mean, you got to go to Willie and find out what happened really, because we're getting it secondhand from that older guy that's there. But we got to get to Willie and explain to him that, hey,
I'll be talking to Willie this week on Monday.
Find out, and then we'll review it again if that's what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? But I saw that's got to, and well, you know, I don't know why I'm even telling you, but even though it's his kid and he thinks he's got a right to do what he wants to his child, which he does, but he's got to do that after the match, off the field in the parking lot, you know.
Totally agree.
With him and Alex. And I know he's frustrated with Alex. I understand Alex is now a junior in high school and he thinks I mean, it's the same nonsense you get with those kids.
Yeah, you got those testosterone going wild.
Yeah, but he didn't strike him. That's the other thing. And he wrote, that's what what's his name wrote up in the center, Burt. But that is not the case. That guy was at the fields. He didn't strike him. He grabbed his ear to take him.
Yeah.
Take him off the field, I guess. But that we can't do that. Can't do that until after. We got to do that outside the coaching box and everywhere else, you know.
Yeah, I'll be addressing the issue with Willie, and I'll talk to him about it.
Yeah, you might even talk to Alex and say, "Cut it out."
Yeah,
sure shit, you know.
All right, guys.
All set.
All set.
Yeah, I don't want Willie to get killed, but I mean, he's got to get. We got to get that. And Mike. You remember Alex played against you a couple times. It was always the same thing. He's rough, and we just gotta.
Yeah. He's a passionate player.
Well, you know, and I'm not defending him, but I mean, you grow up. He's going to the games. I don't know if Willie was playing years ago, Coco. So he's seen, you know, all of the leagues, the Mexican League, the Colombian League, and those guys. I mean, They don't.
He's a typical Uruguayan player.
Yes.
Like Mike said, passionate.
Yeah. Well, passion I like, but I don't want him. We can't have Willie grabbing his ear anymore.
No. We can't. No, we can't have that. We can't have that.
And you know, to defend him, I mean, Burke didn't see it. The other guy saw it. And when we saw him, he said he struck him. I mean, he didn't strike him. And he said, no, he didn't hit him. I said, well, how did he hit him? He said, no, he didn't hit him. And so I understand from everybody at the fields, I think that is a kind of an endearing way a parent gets the attention of a young Spanish kid in South America. I said, well, that's okay, but you can't do it here.
You can't do it here. That's correct.
So, anything else, guys?
No.
All right. Well, this thing with Seminole, I mean, it's. Do you want to vote on it? I mean, I don't see there's any way of going back. Joe's got a suggestion. You want to take that up as a motion? What do you think, Mike?
No, I think it's the rule. I mean, we stuck with the rules. If he wants to change the bylaws, we can do that. But right now, we stuck with the rule.
I don't think you can look. I would be against looking back and asking the other teams if it was okay that they did that. I like Joe's thought in doing that. I think that's fair. The problem is with 3,500 games, either you got rules or you don't. And we have in the past caught teams with secondary players that weren't caught at the time. These guys do have 2 teams that did complain or did file a grievance. So I don't see there's any way around it. We're not going to come down on them or be hard-handed. It's just a rule. they're the only team that's done that. I mean, it's not like we have 50 of these teams. You got one team so far this year in the 1,000 games.
Well, we're just opening up, too many.
Yeah, I got you.
Because everybody will take a chance. Hopefully, they
so you
don't
guys
get caught. If they do get caught, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, man. All right. Someone want to call for an adjournment? Mike?
Yeah, call to adjourn.
You got anything else?
I'm motion to adjourn the meeting.
Kai second it.
Second.
There you
Second.
go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Hey, Mike, don't go anywhere.
All right, gentlemen, good night.
Good night.
Hey, Les,
Yes,
don't pay anybody if they haven't done a full game.
I won't.
And we'll dig that up. But we went through this last year, and I know we 100% talked it out, and it's done.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll reach out to you tomorrow when I find out about that venue, okay?
Thanks, Les. I appreciate that a ton because it's really nice to have a venue out there.
Okay.
If we could.
Will do.
All right.
All right, good night.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
are you doing the Nottingham trip again next summer?
Yep.
With what age group?
Well, I'd like to take an under 13 good boys over.
Okay. Can you put together me a costing factor if we bring a 17 or 18 team?
You can do that.
We can do that? You can do that?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, please do, because it's going to be part of the showcase.
Oh, great. Great.
Okay. All right, so I will have 17/18s, whatever. I'm hoping out of 36, we get at least 16 or 17 that would want to go.
Okay, sounds good.
We make it, something kind of cool for them to do over the summer.
All right, will do.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, cheers. Thanks all.
Cheers.
Good night.
All right. Good night, guys. Good night.